Okay, we are live.
All right, perfect. We are up. We are going. We are here to have a grand old time. We're
We're
here
hot.
to have a good time with our friends. We're hot. Mics are hot.
Indeed.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages.
No, this
I
isn't
am
one of those, but
Yes, I am. I'm here to introduce us all to the first annual Tomo-cast. Annual. Who knows where this could go? Let's see if this is good. Yeah, I am Matthew Ferrugia, and I'm here to host the Tomocast. I have here with me some fantastic, beautiful guests that I am privileged to be with today. I will knock them all off in the order that they are in on my Discord stream. So, first of all, we got my main man. Been podcasting with him for a hot minute.
Tim Buffin.
Josiah.
Oh,
Yeah, me.
Josiah, how do you feel today? You looking forward to this podcast? What's going on, buddy?
yeah, really, I'm really tired, but let's get to it. I'm actually
Let's get
still
to
reading Tomo as we speak, so
Yeah.
Perfect. Man's priorities are right in check. Next up, Tim. Tim, it's been a while since I've done a podcast with you. Last time it was in person, and here we are on a Discord. You all looking forward? You ready to the Tomocast?
I suppose I am.
You suppose so. I guess I have to do what they bully me.
I mean, you guys are reading like Tomo-chan right now. I'm just looking at Proverbs right now.
Well,
like
well,
the
some of us
biblical
have-
book or like the list of proverbs.
I'm at John 3:1 right now.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, no, seriously though.
So some of us have to keep up our wholesome, strong biblical standpoints, and it's good on you to be a good
Oh,
good
yes, the
Christian.
proverb of John
We're the
1:3.
We're the Christian Minecraft servers of a podcast right now.
Of course.
And last but not least, here podcasting with us for the very first time, Jonathan. I would like to welcome you to our little shindig, and I hope that you're going to have a good time today. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I'm Jonathan. I podcast a little bit, so it should be fun podcasting with you guys. It should be fun.
Absolutely.
I agree.
All right, let's now that we have been introduced to our loyal friends of today, I would like to kick us off with something that we have already started discussing beforehand. We have had several arcs over the course of Tomo-chan wa Onnanoko. Oh no, wait a second, I misspoke. That's just my fantasy. It's Tomo-chan wa Onnanoko. Oof. Excuse me. Miss-
Oh, I just got that.
You got it, didn't
That
you?
was a big sneeze.
Everyone who knows the truth knows what I just said.
It's a big stuff.
It's a big slip up. We've had several arcs over the course of Tomo, and several characters that we've been introduced over the course of those arcs. Some of my personal standout favorites are the track and field event where Tomo and Jun had that fantastic moment where both of them were pushing one another to their absolute limits, and you can see Tomo looking back at Jun with nothing but admiration and love in her eyes, and then it goes to like Jun like, yeah, this is actually where I want to be in my life now. Like, I don't want to be like feeling like I need to push to be stronger or weaker than this woman. The fact that they're running as equals should be what I'm striving for nowadays. Like, I didn't mention it when we were discussing our favorite chapters, but that is one of my big favorites, just because of the expression on both of their faces. The art shone through absolutely beautifully there, which of course transitions into some of the better humor throughout the series, where we're having this dramatic, heartfelt moment where the two of them are running together. Hard crash into Tomo passing out in the middle of the track meet, because she's an idiot and insists on doing this when she's half dead. But don't worry about it. Shenanigans like this are what this series are born on, and that was just one of my favorite moments.
It's definitely a great metaphor for sex, you know.
It's good. Listen, if you want metaphors for sex, then you don't
came to
have
the
to
right
look
place.
much further.
Onnanoko, yes, we know.
Yeah.
No, but you might want to give a little bit of a background for those who are not as cultured and learned as we are.
Boy,
what
my
the series
inexperience is showing through, isn't it? This was a bit of a blunder. Tomo-chan wa Onnanoko, as you beautiful Japanese speakers will refer to, also known as Tomo-chan is a girl, is a 4-koma manga series that has been in publication for quite a few years now. I believe since 2014. We've
2015.
15. Perfect. Thank you. We're pushing several hundred chapters now. And for those of you at home who are like, how can a man set a pace like that? That's too fast. That's too many chapters in all those years. What is this, One Piece? Well, normally you would be 100% correct. But as a 4-koma
It is
series,
One Piece.
I think I saw one in there at some point, yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good.
Each chapter is conveniently packed into a one-page format. For those of you at home who want to be able to brag to your friends that you have the attention span to read a several hundred chapter series, but don't want to go about it the honest way, you can sit down for like 4 hours and marathon this entire thing, and it's been an absolute blast. I was first introduced to Tomo about like a good like a year ago at this point. I would have to look back on it a bit further, but it's been a while for me.
It was around when we did the last podcast, I think, when I was telling you about it, like a bit prior. I don't know if you heard about it before, but I remember we were talking about it at that point.
So it's been a bit over a year, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I remember because we were talking about it in person, and I was drunk and I couldn't remember it. Then I remembered.
Well, it's tomboys and comical sexual misunderstandings. This sounds familiar. Oh, there we go. Tomo-chan.
It's exactly like One Piece.
Some may say the sole successor.
Truly.
Oh, man.
I guess you could say the One Piece was inside us this whole time.
Okay, so after Matt's long-winded getting nowhere in the series,
we talked about things. We had fun.
you've only gone over like Wikipedia basic stuff without actually going over the premise. You've gone over
If you would like to talk about
traps at the
stuff,
beginning too.
We were talking about traps at the beginning, but we can't get too off topic. I've already hit my quota for getting off topic.
Okay. So in this 4-panel Japanese cartoon on paper,
Yes.
yes, we've got a little list of characters. We've got, of course, Jude and Tomo-chan, best friends since they moved in the same neighborhood. Jude moved into Tomo's neighborhood. They are both big into full contact martial arts, and
They love them.
yeah, they love them, and they both train with Tomo-chan's dad, and they have a very casual relationship because Tomo is tomboy. And then, of course, we have Tomo's other best friend, who is Mizuzu, and she is how to describe her?
I'd say Wednesday Addams.
Wednesday
Adams too neutral, though.
Really?
Tim, I think you actually drew the comparison.
I mean, she looks like her,
to
but
Wednesday once.
she looks like her, but like Wednesday is she's very much like, oh well, this way, like there's not a lot of malice, but
No, it's a lot of
She's the troll of this series, basically. She plays a lot of playful but pranks.
Yeah.
She's Mandy from Billy and Mandy.
Yeah, that's fair.
that's
That's
so
fair.
much
That's
fucking
that's
better.
a bit more accurate.
I was just
Wait, what?
watching Billy and Mandy lately. That's good. It's a good comparison. There's a lot more snark. There's a lot more less apathy, more snark. But after that, the balance kind of works its way out from there. But then, of course, we cannot, lest we forget everyone's favorite cutie pie, who is introduced like 50, maybe 60 chapters in. We cannot forget. Oh man. Okay, I have to ask you guys this now. Do you okay? Because there's this big divide in the fan base. Do you call her Carol or do you call her Cotton Candy?
Did you call it? I call her Caroline.
Oh, Carol.
Gotcha.
I thought we were talking about Senpai.
No. Senpai is the fluffiest and most wholesome of them. I had to work my way up from Carol and then eventually get to
To her
Senpai.
fiance, yeah.
The dumbest bastard in the world. Senpai is good. Nothing wrong with him.
Except for nobody remembers his actual name because everybody just calls him Senpai at a certain point in the comics.
I was actually going to look up his name. Like, oh, they introduced his.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
His name once.
Kosuke?
Yeah, like
Are you talking about Kosuke?
He exactly.
Shh! Don't shh! What did I just say?
I hit the exact same conclusion where I was like, they've said his name once. Like, I can look this up.
Oh, they said it a couple times, but after a certain
There's no
chapter, it's
point.
just Senpai.
Yeah, there's
Sorry,
0 points.
I meant to say Sasuke. We're talking about Naruto now.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, okay. Now I can really come out of my shell.
Now we can draw some parallels.
Let me tell you why Naruto is the most essential anime of all time in my 29-part miniseries.
Oh jeez.
So this is episode 0.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Dawn of the Dinosaurs.
We will get to that. No worries. Carol is I've noticed quite a bit of divide with Carol's overall character in regards to the people that I know of that read the series. Some people cannot stand her, and some people think she's the bee's knees, the most wonderful gal of all.
Nah, she's just there to fill space.
Just for fill space. Well, if we want to look at her chest, then I would dare say she's filling a lot of space. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, keep it
Go
clean.
on.
This is a Christian Minecraft server.
This is the exact opposite of a Christian Minecraft server. This is
No, have you ever been on those? They talk about this stuff all the time.
So we're on a Muslim Fortnite server.
Oh God.
Got you there.
So Caroline. So Carol.
Yeah.
I
Carol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on, Jonathan. Go on.
Okay. I feel like Carol like serves to like kind of get things going when Masuzu can't.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's the instigator in quite a lot of cases. Misuzu and Carol, the way that I break it down, are both roughly like equally intelligent, though one would never guess it based on their first introduction to Carol. But when you break it down, the two of them have a knack for pushing one another where the other one would lack. The problem is both of them devote those energies to helping Tomo, and their plans seem brilliant at first and all fall apart within the course of 5 pages, which usually lends itself well to the formula of the comedy of the series. So there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I've always mainly seen Carol and Misuzu as two sides of the same coin, to be honest with you. I don't know about you, but that's my breakdown on it. Because they've both got brains, yeah.
Well, they're both playful, but in a different way. Whereas one's kind of sassy and dark, the other one's kind of bright and trollish. They're both kind of trollish in their own way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a blast seeing them together. Tim, Josiah, you got anything to say about the contrast between the two of them? Do you like what they bring to the table? Do you prefer one over the other?
I'm kind of tied between them all because they all kind of work together with that kind of synergy. So it's kind of hard to say which one's better in that sense for me.
which one you like more? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I gotcha. It's when they're the only two that we can really rely to keep the series moving. It's hard to point the finger at like, oh, Tomo's great and she's lovely and she gets things done. And most of those things are true, but she can't fucking progress anything on her own. And
well, I mean, you gotta have side adventures where they don't just keep up the facade that June and Tomo aren't ever gonna get anything done during this entire manga.
Yeah, that's we
AKA the Inuyasha syndrome.
I was thinking about Inuyasha today. Talk about a fucking series that didn't know when to end. Don't worry about that. Doesn't matter.
That's what happens when women write stories. They don't work.
That's why you've got to rely on your finest porn authors to write stories for you instead.
Yeah, unless they write porn, then the girls understand.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta make.
A lot of artists actually started out that way. Like the Azumanga Daioh guy, he started doing lewds.
Oh yeah,
that doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah, but
now the point though about we can't rely on Tomo and Jun by themselves to carry the series. That brings us very well into the next inquiry, something that I've been wondering about for a while that I need to bring up with you guys. We can't rely on just the two of them to make this work, and because of that, because their romance alone can't carry the series. Do you think that this has the potential to continue, even just for one arc, 2 arcs, maybe 3 arcs, like something relatively short? After the two of them make it official, do you think that this has that staying power, or would it have to end at like that chapter?
It just depends on if the money's there.
Considering the premise kind of relies on that, I'd say maybe a few chapters after to kind of like where do they go from here?
Epilogue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't see it because that's kind of the whole point of the series too, right? Because they want to get to. Well, she wants to get with him, and he's kind of like, whatever.
Yeah. We do have, as far as I'm concerned, like the entire series is built on awkward, funny misunderstandings and sexual tension. Those two things, and that's the whole pot. That's the formula that we've got to go and to work with. And once the two of them finally make this work, we can, in theory, get a lot of good gags based on their relationship after that's made official. So I do think this has the power.
I think if he made a new, series as like a sequel of sorts, that would work. But continuing from that kind of story point, I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah. Fair.
I agree with Tim. I feel like the moment that June sees Tomo as a girl, that's when this series ends, and then the relationship is a totally new story.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that being the case. The only catch is if we take this to the point where this becomes a new story after that's done, then there will only be so much that you could do with that. Like for example, let me. The original run of Rurouni Kenshin ended 27 volumes in. And after that ended, for about like 2 or 3 chapters, we had the side story where Yahiko went off with the Sakabacho and got into adventures with trying to help lead a new school. And when I think of whether or not this has the potential to carry on even for an arc, like I kind of used that as a frame of reference because I feel that was something that was handled particularly well, because the passing of the torch, or in this case the sword, in that story reminded me of how this could work in theory if it was applied to something like Tomo, for example. So this could work. Whether or not the formula would change is up in the air, but there is that we could potentially look at. I don't know where Fumito wants to go with this, but I'm down for anything. Like, I'll give it a shot at least.
Well, I think the second Junichi thrusts the sword in, at that point, we'll know its end.
Oh yeah. Once the sword makes its entry wound. Yeah.
It's slit down the middle.
Right, of course. Gotta keep an eye out for that. That's
we'll wait for the doujins.
That's when you know that he's found a calling back to his earlier roots. All right. Speaking of transferring over to a different form of media, here's a good one that Tim and I touched on that needs to be discussed by us. Do you three guys think this has the potential to become an anime? And if it does, what formula would this have to take on? Would this have to become like a Pop Team Epic, where like the single gag then like transition to a whole new gag formula is ingrained into it, or how would that work?
Skits.
Let me handle this one.
Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
So I happen to be a little bit of an expert of 4 comas turning in animes.
So you would know better, yeah.
So unless they're relentless and gag animes without any sort of central overarching plot, doesn't really work too well. Like I could point to Can MMO, which was a funny little thing about a house of girls, and like half of them were lesbians, and
I remember that one.
Yeah, and it kind of just falls. The manga was great, but the show did not work very well because it didn't balance the comedy and the story at all. Even though the manga did it very well, the anime did not adapt in any good way, shape, or form. It was very bland and unappealing to most people. In fact, it didn't even get signed on for season 2. So, even though it's plenty material.
Josiah, let me raise you, student council staff members.
Yes.
2 seasons and a movie. Did you call it 4 Koma manga?
Yes, I know about that one. That was a very successful one. But let me ask you, how much comedy is in that?
I'd say like it's a big part of it. Like it's a majority of the like 4 Koma manga.
I would say 80% of the dialogue is comedy.
Yeah.
Yes, and so. But the thing is, there's plenty of points in Tomo where there is no comedy and there's serious character development. And the problem with that is that with them being handed one season, because the way that it's done right now is you get handed one season. If it's popular, you get a second one. If it's not, you're dead. And so at least that's how they've been playing it recently, and at least most studios. And so, I mean, Tomo has a decent following. But anime-wise, it may not do so well, and it depends who has the reins. But more than likely, if they tried to do it right now with the current atmosphere, it probably wouldn't be well balanced. Because they probably try and... Because the nice thing about 4 Komas that are based a lot in comedy, and you can mix and match a whole bunch of stories if the timeline isn't set in stone... is that you can rearrange stuff so you get a lot of good parts of the first season, can kind of sell it well, but with something more like Tomo where it has a more definite, I don't know, timeline, it's difficult. I don't know.
I would say. Sorry. Well, I would say. It looks like the type of anime, because you know how some, it seems like they're just doing the job, but I think, what was it? Yeah, One Punch Man, right? The studio was so into the work that they put that much effort into like the transitioning, right? Mm-hmm. Especially from the manga. I think that's the only way something like this could work. Like, to be good, too. Where you'd have to have a really committed like staff working on it. Especially to fill in the transitions from chapter to chapter, right? Because remember, every chapter is just one page, and there's enough to work with, or to at least put in the filler, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lot you can kind of just like compress into one single scene. Like going through it and like binging it, it felt like one scene was what you call it, like 5 chapters. So what you call it, you can kind of just like mash that into one and then just like turn like maybe 20 chapters into like a single episode.
Yeah.
And the nice thing that will like lend itself well to having something that's able to be formulated into a individual episode, if this were to be made into a anime, is after reading enough Tomo, and there's more than enough to get a hang of this on at this point, where every now and then it'll have an arc that is almost entirely consisting of character development. Like for example, like that side story where Jun and Carol hung out, which ultimately transitioned into him kissing her. Sorry, her kissing him. Important point. Don't want to fuck that up. Which was one of the best and most controversial moments in the entire series. I happened to browse our manga's Tomo category on Reddit, which is a ton of fun because really getting in there in terms of seeing what the community thinks and chatting with them is a huge breath of fresh air. Because when I was marathoning it, the guys had already been introduced to it, and I had yet to tell you about it, Jonathan. So I'm like, I want something like episode to be like, what do people say about this? So I jump on Reddit, and I've never used Reddit for much of anything except for this. So that was tons of fun. But the point that I was trying to make was Tomo has brief breaks where it has arcs that are just about character development, like that one with the two of them. But 9 times out of 10, it has a very nice formula where for 3 pages, for like 3 chapters, like it'll have just gags, and then they'll have one that ends in like a question, like character development, like, now that this is done, where do I go from here? Now that she gave the Nintendo DS back to me, am I a man now? Where do I go from this? Where do I transition as a human being? And then it transfers back into like one more chapter of a humor. Then I'll start like a new arc or like a new scene. So the fact that Tomo's formula is so predictable would lend itself well to the idea of making it in a anime. But even with that, the challenge of transitioning any 4 koma would require levels of planning that I certainly haven't thought out yet. So this wouldn't be easy. There are some factors like in play here that would make this easier to work with than a lot of others, which I'm sure would be nightmares to try and adapt. There is potential for it here, but like I wouldn't have it mapped out right now. But it could be done. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but it's not like it's One Piece where they take scenes from the manga and just try to stretch it out for like almost an entire episode.
Well, you got to get your filler in there, of course.
Yeah. So I'm just saying the filler, the way I see it is probably just simple transitions from the manga. Maybe add some stuff to it, but I think it's one of the series that it would actually work in its favor.
There are some scenes I would want to see animated, like talking about the like whole like marathon. Seeing June and what you call it, Tomo just rush down past everybody.
Yeah.
that would look good animated. I think there's some good points that they could put into animation.
Yeah. The scene of Misuzu and Carol, like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a moth. And no, it's some kind of butterfly. And then the next panel is just hard cut into the two of them screaming as they run past. There's just a panel of silence and a hard cuts back to, no, it's a moth. No, come on, it's some kind of butterfly over there. Yeah, like it's got stuff going on over there for sure.
Oh yeah.
I would like to see that animated a lot. Man, it's fucking hard to pick one favorite. It's like it's like picking a favorite child. There's too much packed into each individual chapter. I'm enjoying this a lot. I got another question to bring up. Let's keep this gravy train moving. All right, so based on how Carol and Senpai got together, which was one of the most climactic and like heartfelt and successful parts of this entire fucking story.
Oh
so
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of character development in that one too.
yeah. They're the two who actually made it work out of all three pairs that we've got going on right now.
Right.
Do you feel that, based on what we've seen about gags normally work, how do you predict Tanabe and Misuzu and also Jin and Tomo getting together? Like, how would that work? Right now, we seem to be leaning more heavily into Tanabe and Misuzu's storyline, progressing and getting closer to reaching that point. Over her phone number, and that's a lot of fun. But it seems like it's leaning more towards the two of them based on that. And since we know all of the cast extremely well at this point, how do you think the remaining two pairs would go? What do we have from there?
What you call it? I think with what you call it, Misuzu and Tanabe. Is it Tanabe? I think
Tanabe.
yeah, Tanabe. Okay, between those two, I feel like he's going to be the solution of feeling Misuzu feeling like her and Tomo are gonna drift away. Like, I feel like he's gonna fill the void, or at least bridge the gap in some way.
Sorry, can you please run over that last part for me? I was staggering for a little bit on my end.
I think that Tanabe's gonna fill the gap that's becoming a divide between Misuzu and Tomo, because I feel like they're not pushing it fast enough as the other relationships, so I think it's gonna be a plot device somewhere.
Yeah, probably. I could see that working. From here, it's tough. Like quite a lot of what we've seen happening with Tanabe and Misuzu. Quite a lot of what's going on with both of them also hinges on Tomo's relationship with Misuzu herself. What's going on with her really lies down with the fact that Misuzu feels that she's losing Tomo based on the progress that she's slowly making with Jun. And almost none of this is outright stated, but it's so heavily implied that we understand that that has to be her underlying current motivation. So, seeing what would become of their relationship and whether or not he would man up to support her, if Jin and Tomo got together, would be a interesting part of it. But the problem is, since they're the two main characters, if that actually came to a head like that, then we'd be getting close to wrapping up the series. So, it's hard for me to predict where it's going to go from here. You were going to say something?
Well, the most important thing is, how do you really get to Raftel? It's a very confusing plot device for an island, and
yeah,
to finish up the series. Okay. It's really hard with these rom-coms, to kind of, especially with the Japanese rom-coms, because they have this, either they fly with it or nothing ever happens to the couple that you're rooting for, It's weird. There's been a couple breakout ones, like
Skull Rumble.
Yeah, and then what was it? Sakura So. Let's see. What was it?
The pet kind of.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Sakura So. That's shorthand for it. I forget the full name because it's long, like you said.
Yep.
And then there was, what was it? The Toradora.
Yeah.
Had some twists and definitely wasn't your normal rom-com. I kind of got angry with Toradora for a while. But no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I had a friend that introduced me to like one episode of Toradora.
Yeah, it's definitely something you gotta watch a while to get into. It's definitely not something you can just pick up off the bat. It definitely has its own tastes, but it's just the way it ended was, I don't know. It was definitely interesting and confusing the way that the characters developed, and a little short-sighted, I think, in some places. But that's just my opinion. But no, what I'm trying to say is, like, outside of a couple select big hitters, as far as, you know, we've seen development between the main couple besides just the side couples, because that's a big thing, is that side couples will happen in these sort of Japanese rom-coms, but usually the main couple is the hardest one to get to either launch or not launch, to kind of have an open ending.
Right.
So
you can't. Oh, sorry. What I was saying is, you can't help but feel that in some cases the author realizes, oh crap, I actually have to figure something out to make this work, especially with the main characters.
Yeah, like we have to find a balance of recognizing the fact that when the two get together, we're leaning towards the end, but at the same time, you can only hold this off and tease us and keep us like an inch away from finishing for so long before we ultimately go, okay, you know, I want a little bit of positive feedback. Where's what I came here for? Where's my big finish? I want to see them together. Like, I've never even considered writing like a rom-com, but I guess a bunch of that would have to come down to, like, when do we call it quits? How long and how much can you, like, take this for a ride, take your viewers for a ride before you ultimately come to terms with the fact that, like, we meet payoff. That seems like it would be a huge thing to me, just based on what I've seen of Tomo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whoop. What? Oh. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. We've got a little time. All right. Now that we're starting to wind down a bit, we're at the 45-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
I have got to ask about some closing thoughts. Do you guys have a particular favorite arc, and if you could wrap this up in an ideal way based on what you've enjoyed about the series, where would you want to see this go next?
Would you call it? I'll go. I feel like two things need to happen.
Okay.
Would you call it? The Suzu needs to realize that Tomo's not going to drift away by getting to a relationship with June.
Yeah.
And what you call it, June has to see Tomo as a girl.
Seeing as it's the title, it's kind of necessary. No, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
And what you call it, you can also tie up all the other, like, loose end relationships as well with their problems. So yeah, that's the three things that I want from ending. I feel like they can kind of, like, motion towards that. Like, I feel like the newest arc with the play is going to kind of, like, push towards what you call it, Tomo trying to really figure out what Misuzu is hung up on.
Yeah.
And either by the end of the arc, it's going to push the problem further, or it's gonna, like, resolve it.
Yeah. Based on what we've heard about the roles that the current cast is playing so far in the play in this upcoming arc, it sounds like we might be seeing Misuzu in in a suit at some point during this play, which I'm looking forward to a lot, because I bet she could pull that look off perfectly.
Yes, we all know you have a secret fetish of women's in suits.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you brought it up.
We didn't all know that, but now we all do.
Oh, it's not even like a bad fetish, jeez Louise.
No, my actual worst fetishes are ones that I talk about way more, so it's not much of an issue. No, though, yeah, I would enjoy that a lot. That would appeal to my particular field of interests. Beyond that, Jonathan, you cut out for a little bit while I was asking my question, but do you have any particular like a particular favorite moment or arc that was the moment where it finally snapped into place, where it was like, no, like I love this series? Because what was it for you?
There was a point at the beginning that I was just like, they can only run this joke for so far.
Yeah, and then they ran it forever.
Yeah, but it was the fact that they actually built development on it, and I think that was the first instance of where June seems very defensive of Tomo.
Yeah.
Where he sees like guys hitting on her and stuff, and he just goes like, no.
Wasn't that the beach?
The beach scene. Love the beach scene.
Yeah.
What'd you call it?
Fucking Jun
comes out of the motherfucking water.
Yeah, he popped up like he was her stand or something. Just boom, straight out of nowhere. Beautiful.
Godzilla the crap out of that guy.
Good gosh. But I think the first instance I saw it when I was like binging through everything was when Senpai came in, and he just sees her hanging out with the like boys karate club. Yeah. And he's just like, she's getting really friendly with Senpai. I'm gonna go over there and do something about it. And I was just like, yeah, okay. Now we're getting somewhere. We're getting like, this isn't just like one problem. It's like a set of problems with both of them.
Yeah. I see the catch with a series like this is you can only build a formula out of like
numbers.
You can only have like a show that's built on misunderstandings for so long before readers get frustrated. But this has like found, I feel, like a pretty fucking good balance on how to tease that just enough where it's like, I'll keep going on with this. It's the One Piece kind of situation where this feels like an eternity in the making, but it's not about the destination. Like every new island that we get to has enough like weird fucking animals and like quirky bullshit going on where it's like this series is fun in and of and for itself. It's not about like this big climactic wrap up. Once we finally get there, I'm sure that we're going to love it, and Tomo and June are going to kiss, and everyone's going to celebrate, and the world's going to take a day off. We're all going to throw a huge party. But it's been about the gags along the way.
I'm hoping to go a bit further with that, but you're basically saying it's like you're enjoying the dance for the dance. Obviously, it's going to end eventually, but you're enjoying it for what it is at the moment. So,
yeah. What if the real One Piece is the friends we made along the way?
Don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare.
He was asked that, and he's like, no, it's a real thing. I'm not going to piss off people like that.
Oda is humanity's treasure. Don't you even dare.
See, you're getting snippy here, but I know for a fact that too many people had to have made that observation before.
Yeah, there are whole forums on Reddit about it.
It was a bullshit ending. What if the ending's total bullshit?
But
I want it to be a treasure chest that just has a scroll that says it.
That just says One Piece.
Yeah,
actually,
One Piece is the friends you made along the way.
That's what the government, the world government, didn't want at all.
You know what? Just a little rabbit hole here. You know what sets apart One Piece from all the other big boys out there?
It's
have these grandiose stories and big, huge whole universes created around them. Is that Oda hasn't really ever gone on a big hiatus for more than like 2 weeks. Boy's been pumping out and being healthy and being a good boy. So anytime anybody who says, oh, I bet Berserk's gonna have a better ending than One Piece, just laugh.
Don't hold your breath. In order for Berserk to have a good ending, Berserk needs an ending.
The idle games are gonna have to go bye-bye.
Last time that I hung out with Bjorn, I made a great joke with him where I looked at his wall and I was like, you know how I know you're not a Berserk fan? Because I don't see Idolmaster up on the wall with all your Xbox 360 games.
Well, they're pretty similar stories when you think about it.
Are they actually good? Because I'd have no idea.
Dude.
I bet they suck. I bet they're not.
It's a niche thing. There is like plots to it, but you really have to be into that sort of thing. Sorry, back on track. I think we're starting talking about One Piece. I'll say my favorite part, or at least two favorite parts, because there's a part I think is funny, and there's a part where I think it was just really, really good. Now, the part I think is funny was when Carol, her mom was introduced, and she's actually considerably young. So she would have to have been, they even lampshaded a little. It's like, well, she would have had to have been 13 to give birth.
Yeah, Carol's mom is like our age. She's so fucking young, it's nuts.
And they do explain that in one of the bonus chapters.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she's actually 13. I think that it's kind of implied that Carol may be suggesting her mom's. She doesn't know her mom's actual age, or that her mom just tells her that she's 28. Because that's kind of a common.
No. Did you read the Omake? Did you read the Omake though?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, but it still doesn't. I mean, it says that she's young, but it doesn't actually. Nothing is.
I'm looking at it right now. It says 16 years ago she was 13 and the father was 16. Sorry, I'm sorry I had to break it to you this way, but.
You got the battle's just straight up.
But you can the awkwardness of talking about it even is kind of why I liked it, because it's literally just something that just gets worse and worse the more you look into it.
I must have said a bad translation.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought
I love
of
it though, because it's just like, oh my gosh, how bad did I mess up?
Yeah, especially when it's like, she mentions the baby so casually, it's funny.
So they literally pulled an Animal House.
Well, here also.
You're gonna have to explain that.
Oh, come! How have you guys never seen Animal House? Jeez Louise.
I haven't watched that in years.
Okay, so one of the big side plots besides shenanigans with Delta.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Is that whatever his name is? I forgot the guy's nickname, but basically main character guy. He joins Delta, that goes on adventures with him, and then, but while he's getting shoplifting for a party they're hosting for their first night after their pledged, he runs into this girl supermarket, cute girl, this and that, she's like, oh, I won't tell anybody you're shoplifting. He's like, oh, that's really cool. He's like, we're having a party tonight, you want to come? She's like, okay, yeah. He's like, where is it? Oh, it's the Delta house. Okay, I'll show up, And so he hits it off with this girl, and she gets drunk, and then he takes her upstairs, she passes out, and he's like, I shouldn't be doing this. And so he takes her home in a shopping cart and leaves her on her parents' front door. And then later, he starts getting interested in this girl slowly over the movie, here and there, just little snippets, and then eventually at the close to the climax of the film, he sneaks her out, and he doesn't care anymore, because he's about to get expelled, and so he sneaks her out, and then they go and they have a date on the football field, late at night, and then they camp out there, and then so they do it, and then she tells him that she's 13.
Actually, there's a. Do you remember a movie called Buying the Cow?
No.
I do not.
Oh, it's pretty much that plot line, but it's the guy's like what 21, the girls were initially 16, and it's like 10 years after that fact, right? Or like 5 years after that.
Mhm.
And then it turns out the girl he was actually talking to was her 13-year-old sister.
Oh.
So it's Ryan Reynolds is in it too. It's funny.
Oh, I may have seen it before.
It's one of those things where it's like it's funny in the context of the media, but obviously in real life it's still even that little awkwardness of I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't see it in anything other than media basically. But my favorite part, going back on that,
Do you guys
I would have
remember? Oh, go on, Jim.
sorry, I would have to say whenever Carol just drops the smiles, like there's
Okay,
twice she does.
Oh, yeah.
There's twice she
The
does it twice.
smile.
One where she basically is just giving a deadpan look to Tomo. Something I forget. It's because she was joking around, but she's just looking at her like, no, you're not joking around. Do something. And
No, I thought
that
you
was
were talking
kind of,
about some.
Oh
sorry,
no!
I thought you were talking about something else. I'm gonna give you the pick. 1 sec. Go on.
Now that's the one time you see her drop. That pretense is. The second time is, well, spoilers, but they try to see if they can kind of get a reaction out of her, because she's always joking around, always smiling, always to the point where it seems a little creepy, right? But when she drops that facade because of something Misuzu did to kind of trick her, like I won't go into too much detail because it's actually really good, but it's that one moment where, because of how, I wouldn't say random, basically surprising it was.
The moment when Carol cried and then got over her issue, and then the confession happened, and then she smiled like a chapter later. That smile, which I thought you were alluding to immediately, was one of the most well drawn pieces of as far as single panels go, a one panel. It's it's one of the nicest pieces of art I've seen in any manga.
Yeah.
Plus the image of her crying. There's so much attention to detail put in that thing that is absurd.
And it's kind of like One Piece. We're going to be making a lot of comparisons right here. One Piece, in that, when it's those really high tense emotional moments where their faces look really awkward to look at.
Yeah.
It's painful looking at it. That's how I looked at it. And because it was well done and it was still surprising, it stood out a lot for me.
Found it. Perfect. Okay. Yep. Perfect. 1 sec. No, you're right. The One Piece comparison of someone's face is a mess when they are crying, and it doesn't look attractive. It doesn't look appealing. It doesn't look anything like that.
It's even with the art style, it has that certain realism to it.
Yeah, it's so it's authentic because it looks ugly, and that's what makes it ironically more beautiful than anything. Where it's not the Hollywood shit of a single tear going down someone's face. It was.
I mean that can be done well too, but it's
Mustang.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Great panel.
Guts too. Remember that.
Never forget Guts. He's got a hard life cut out.
Da-na-na, Guts.
Don't know what you want.
Berserker.
My love for you is like a truck.
Tim, thank you for sharing those, because I should have remembered to bring those up earlier. Those were actually some of the strongest single moments in Tomo so far. So thank you for that. We can start to lean towards wrap up now. Jonathan, Tim, you mentioned some of your favorite chapters. Josiah, what were your favorite moments of the series before we
meeting Tomo's mom? Duh.
Tomo's mom is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's pretty cool.
Collector of children.
It's like Tomo 2.0.
Carol, you said your name is Carol. You too are my child. Well, get over here, you big dummy.
I am Mother Bear.
Bring unto me all the small children; they are mine now. Fuck. What is it? Now, all right. No, wait a sec. Just gotta stall for time for a moment. If we wanna talk about, if we want to talk about moms for a second.
Yeah.
We're not gonna talk about mine, are we? No.
Yes, we're only going to talk about Tim's mom.
Your mom is a very nice woman. That's all that needs to be said.
Yay.
Well, no, let's make this faster. No, if we want to do that.
I'm glad we're talking about the moms now before we get into the old dojins about the incest, so.
Yo, boy. Boof! I'm sorry, dude. Look, Josiah, I'm sorry. Tomo's mom is beautiful, but there's something about Misuzu's mom just.
Well, we all know what your real secret fetish is.
Well, I have like 2 that have been discussed in this podcast alone. You're gonna have to surprise me with.
I'm not saying it on stream. That's how secret it is.
Oof. Oh no way! Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because she is a textbook one of those people.
The most forbidden of fetishes. Get away from your computer.
The original forbidden fruit.
Are we talking about the fangs?
No. We should.
Okay.
Fangs
is normie shit. Don't even.
Alright, I guess.
Fangs are one of those weird things where it's like they're for normies, but they deserve to be top tier. Like this should be for someone with like great taste, but they're surprisingly friendly for everybody. Yeah, never count out the moms who are ironically all 3 for 3 better than their kids in terms of like design and just how much I enjoy them. Weird how like none of the 3 cases where it's like, oh, I liked this kid better. It's like just a good spread of great moms. Love it. Not too much more to say. That's why I'm just going off the rails with whatever that I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Did you
call Sorry, go on, Jonathan.
I was just gonna go on about the moms for a second.
Yeah, boy, go ahead.
Yeah, every single like mom introduction and just like mom scene is great. Freaking Carol's mom and Carol's mom's interaction with Zuzu, where she just goes like, "What if I told you I'm just friends of Carol for her money?"
Yeah.
And she just blows it up, just like, "Ha, you're funny. You're not a bad girl at all."
Like
she's just like, "I can't do anything to faze them."
It's like Misuzu, you are devilish and intelligent enough that in terms of like anyone your own age, you could get anything over on any of them. But
actually,
like,
there's
but in the face of Carol's mom, she can't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Sammy,
there's No, I'm just saying there's a picture of Carol as an angel and Misuzu as a devil whispering into Tomo's, like the devil's advocate thing.
The one
karaoke time.
Yeah, that's an edited hell. Oh, I love it. It's a good one. I can't pick a single favorite moment in Tomo. The series is too good, except for the fact that I'm going to go back on what I just said and pick one anyways.
Immediately.
I'm going to pick a favorite child. Pick a favorite child right here, right now. As I expressed to you guys earlier, I'm a particularly big fan of the chapter where Jun's like, "Oh, you got Misuzu's number. Give me your fucking phone for 1 second. Let's see if this is legit." And Snoby's like, "No, you big asshole. What are you doing?" Vile girl. And not only the fact that he calls her that, and she responds with giant deadwood, which is a beautiful, perfect name for him. But the fact that you get to see that little tiny peek into Misuzu for a second, where she comes across as this stone cold bitch for 99% of the series, but you see her profile pic on her phone for her messenger app as her hanging out with Tomo and Carol. So it's kind of like that little moment. Oh, she does care. Like that little extra peek into like this is like a gag chapter, but that's not. But that's there too. It's got a 2-for-1. It's a really nice.
The subtlety of it. The subtlety.
Yeah, it's never pointed out like a Tanabe is like, oh, look at her profile pic. It's like, no, it just slid in there for you to go, oh, that's actually really sweet. She's not pure Satan fuel. She's not a devil child most of the time. Yeah, boy, I'm looking forward to seeing what more can be done with this. We've come a long way. We're gonna go further. Who knows whether or not this is going to be done into the ground past its expiration date? I hope not.
How many more times are June and Mizuzu going to date? Who knows?
How many more times is she going to get dolled up like a pretty lady? And then Carol and Mizuzu are going to be like, oh, you look perfect. Get in there. Nothing happens. Oh, shit, I totally forgot. One of my favorite arcs was the sleepover, which happens relatively early on, but it's such a fucking banger. It's such a great arc where it's like even just the implications of the chapter titles to where Tomo's getting out of the bath and next chapter is her drying herself off are titled Wet Best Friend and Dry Best Friend, which the community that I was hanging out with on Reddit had a ton of fun with. It's a good little wink, wink, nudge, nudge moment. Everything about that arc was great. Of like, the two of us are sitting here, and we've been in this position before when it comes to hanging out with a woman, where it's like, yeah, we're feeling each other out. You know, this is a good time, but like, you know how things were back in high school. No one's making a move, and it's like, you want to play more video games? No. Was this just me? Don't tell me this was just me. You guys had to have been in those situations before as well. Don't tell me that I was the only big dorko.
I won't get into those situations.
You don't have to answer that. That's just me rambling. The point is, I like this. This is a good story. If any of you are listening to this, go on Manga Rock, go on Manga Cafe,
go down to Barnes Noble, scream in the manager.
Yes.
Did you call it friggin'? It's gonna come out with a print one like later this year. I already pre-ordered it on Amazon.
Yeah. Or like, to be serious for a moment, go on Amazon, buy the physical copies. Those exist. I didn't know for a while when I first started reading, but it's like, no, I've published these and compiled them. That's cool. Go and support Fumita. He is a great author. He made a funny story that also makes you feel good and is consistently pretty high quality. It dips very rarely, and when it does, it always shoots back up shortly after. Go read Tomo. Yeah, good podcast, guys. We had a good time. Any closing thoughts? Any little notes from anyone here, or shall we call it a night?
I want to see more Carol being cute.
Yeah.
And I want another Caroline joke.
You need to get him in there.
Yeah.
It's been a gag. We can't really wrap this up with our traditional podcast ender because it seems like an SAF thing. So I will simply bid you all adieu. XOs, hugs and kisses to all the lovely listeners out there.
That was the fetish she was talking about.
That was the fetish he was talking about. Oh no, right when I was about to escape. You have to bring it back and throw me on blast again.
Balls out on stream.
Right at the last second. Alright, take care everyone.
See ya.